It was the closing ceremony of what had been 2 weeks, but it was not simply a note of thanks and goodbye. The Parliament had the opportunity of listening to the Commission of Trade and Industry of the African Union, Fatima Haram Assil. She had a lot in her hands for her expectant hosts. The issue of trade in Africa has been surrounded by difficulties that have to do with porous borders, which make it difficult for goods entering the different African territories to be of the right quality or appropriately taxed. Smuggling of goods into and out of these African states continue to deprive them of millions in revenue. Africa has also failed to create the single language, and this reflects badly in business transactions, leaving traders of the same continent to depend on interpreters or middlemen in their transactions. The continent has also failed to copy the good examples of its Western peers, which could have seen the establishment of a much smaller continent with less immigration hassles. Traders sometimes see their goods perish before reaching the market due to immigration problems, such as the issuance of visas in a timely manner and other easily handled immigration problems. Some say the removal of such impediments could support the promotion and enhancement of transnational trade within Africa. Perhaps of all the important problems impeding trade within Africa, the greatest of them all is the different currencies therein and their difference in value when ranked along some of the world's widely used, such as the American dollar or even the euro, which is a creation of the European version of the African Union. The European Union. In the words of a South African Member of Parliament, the reasons for Africa's trade problems stem from the fact that the continent does not have a firm grip of its economy. Observations among members were that the absence of a united African trade policy, China poses a robust presence, thus becoming a potent colonial authority with very strong footing in almost every aspect of trade. Vice President of the Parliament, Sierra Leone's Honorable Dr. Bernadette Lahai, was sure that a salvation from Africa's economic woes would be reached through the expansion of ministries responsible for trade. Her views were that trade ministries alone could not handle the varying issues related to trade, which means the inclusion of associated ministries, such as those of agriculture and mines, not only to cushion the pressure, but to contribute more human resources and expertise in dealing with cross-border trade issues. Since colonialism expired in Africa a little over half a century ago, the continent has had to grapple with myriads of issues which have proven difficult due to political upheavals that drain the coffers of the African Union, a fate similarly endured by its predecessor, the Organization of African Unity, OAU. The first plenary session of the Pan-African Parliament is ended, but there are many issues left to be handled, including bringing down the barriers of Africa for Africans through the use of a single passport for all African states, getting Morocco out of its deemed illegal occupation of the Western Saharan state of Sahrawi, and creating systems through which Africa could be able to realize gains and losses in order to get stringent with international business dealings.
On the recommendation on the support of the efforts of the African Union for the decolonization of the Western Sahara, the Pan-African Parliament supports the efforts of the African Union through its special envoy to the Western Sahara, Mr. Joaquin Chizano, with a view to finding a lasting solution likely to strengthen peace and security in Africa.
For the past fortnight, these parliamentarians have been discussing, deliberating, and debating issues that have got to do with the rest of Africa. They have come and they have done that so very well. These conferences have now ended, and together they have vowed to meet again in future conferences, all for the well-being of Africa. It is not known what the next theme will be, but definitely in 6 months there shall be a convergence of a similar kind right here in Midrand, right here at the Pan-African Parliament, where the issues of Africa are being discussed. As they get ready to jet out, all is well that ends well, one of them told me. For SLBC, Samuel Valcastle, Midrand.